Hi guys, welcome to this week's episode. So we're continuing the tour diaries and I've just come off stage with Marti Pellow. So check out my top tips about being on tour. Hi guys, it's me again. So I am currently in Manchester on the tour. Tonight we do the second show of the tour at the Bridgewater Hall venue in town. But I thought it would be really cool to give you some top tips about touring. I know when I first started, I had a whole load of ideas about what it would be like. And some of them were accurate and some of them were not. So I'm going to give you some handy hints as to how to survive on tour. So firstly, guys, do your research. Do you know what it's like to travel all the time? Do you know what it's like to live out of a suitcase? Do you know what it's like to be with people who you're not necessarily close to? I when I first went on tour, got really homesick. I got really homesick, even to the point where I was like, oh my God, I just want to go home now. And I was having a great time, but you forget that you just can't just go home. There is no going home. Once the tour is done, then you can go. So that was my first experience. But what really helped me was the people that I was with. They had experience of touring before me. Another thing to research is the artist that you're actually going out with. Every artist has a very different vibe and a very different way of working. So if you kind of know who you're going out on tour with, you kind of know what the vibe will be with the crew, with the band, and with your other singers. Obviously you would have rehearsed with them initially, so you can kind of get a feel for what it's going to be like. And if you can prepare yourself mentally, it's only going to help you in the long run. Especially if it's a long tour. Shorter tours, they're not so bad because you literally know you're going to be away for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you come home. So yeah, do your research. Tip number 2 is have all the necessary equipment that you're going to need whilst you're away. And what do I mean by that? I.e., as a singer, you need in-ears. My in-ears are from ACS. These beautiful bad boys. They're so comfortable. They're silicone. These are silicone, but you can get hard ones that I don't know if they're as comfortable, but they certainly can produce real quality sound. But these ones are from ACS. But you can get, there are a number of in-ear monitor companies that you can get specific molds. They're molded to your ear, so they're personal. You use them on every gig that you go on. You can get generic in-ears, and often if you don't have your own, the sound engineer can give you a pair, but I think it comes across more professional if you have your own in-ears. They are expensive, so I'm not saying that you should get them as a first thing, but think about investing in a good pair of in-ears. Make sure you have outfits, guys. This is my outfit for tonight. Nice little khaki number. For backing vocalists, generally you wear a lot of black, and it could be dressy black, it could be edgy black, but again, that's where research comes in and making sure that you know the kind of artist that you're working with so that you pack appropriate clothes for that artist. Also have like a device for listening to music. I use my laptop, but you can obviously have a phone, an iPod, or an MP3 player. That helps you to actually store the material so you can listen to it as you go along. Make sure that you have a notepad to write down notes, and keep yourself, ahead. You don't want to be falling behind and having to be catching up. It's not a very professional look. And when people see that you have all the necessary equipment, then it puts you forward in a really good light. I personally didn't even know what in-ears were. When I first started out, they had to give me generic in-ears, and I was like completely unaware of how to use them. But I kind of faked it till I made it, and I was like, oh, it's not working, just secretly so they could show me because I had no idea. Tip number 3, learn how to get on with people. Now, some people might argue that it's not that important, but it's so important that you understand that you will be living with somebody really closely for however long you're going to be on tour. Now, if you're the kind of person who naturally gets on with everyone, woohoo, you've you're a minority. But for me, I had to learn that everyone does things really differently, and the way you do things is not universal. Some of the times that I went on tour, people used to annoy me. And also, you know, this whole rock and roll lifestyle, I wasn't that kind of a person in the beginning. I understand it now because I've toured a lot, but people go out every night, they make a lot of noise, or they bring members of the opposite sex back. Things that you wouldn't necessarily do in your everyday life, but you have to understand how to adjust and manage that. I do a lot of reading about people and about social scenarios, and there have been times when I've heard others talk about members of the band that they've been on tour with absolute disdain, because of the way they behave or how inconsiderate they've been. And it's not nice, one, to be talked about like that, and two, it's not nice to experience people who don't consider your feelings or who don't consider your practices. So make sure that you are very aware of how to adjust, how to compromise, and how to just be considerate of other people, and how to make sure that you're not making anyone upset or angry, or you're not hindering them from doing their work. Tip number 4, guys, and this might seem like a stupid thing to say, but make sure you practice the material. Make sure you know it inside out, and it's not good enough to just skim over it. I tell you why, because I've done that before, thinking, oh, it's really easy, I'll get it in 5 minutes, don't worry about that. And then I go to rehearsal kind of having skimmed over stuff and not really knowing it. And I embarrassed myself. One, because the artist knows that I don't know the stuff well. And two, because it puts more pressure on me having to learn it in a short space of time. So spend the time that it requires for you to know the material like really well. It will make you look professional. It will absolutely take a lot of pressure and stress off of you. And it will actually give you an enjoyable experience, because if you know the stuff, you can just concentrate on and enjoying the gig, and being free to express yourself in other ways. Doing a gig, having to think about everything is not nice. I know for me, when there are situations where it's unavoidable. For example, if you're given the material a very short time before the tour starts or before the gig starts, there's only so much you can do during that short period of time. So do it as best as you can. There's nothing worse than being on a gig or doing a show, and you're constantly thinking about what's coming next. What have I got? What have I got to remember? You don't enjoy it. So by knowing the material and having it really deeply ingrained, it allows you to have a really good gig. So I advise you deeply to learn the stuff well. Tip number 5, guys, learn how to pack. This might not seem like anything, but don't forget you have to carry this stuff with you. I am known to carry the kitchen sink in my suitcase, and this is all well and good if you've got someone carrying your bags for you. As a lady, I kind of get away with it because there are lots of gentlemen out there who offer to help to carry my things. But in the absence of those offers, I need to be able to carry my own bags. So throwing 10 pairs of shoes is not an option. You need to make sure that you have a comfy pair of shoes that you can walk around in the daytime, your stage shoes that you need at night, and maybe a pair of flip-flops or slippers to kind of chill out in your hotel stroke tour bus. And make sure that you have your staples, your outfit. Make sure you have your underwear, which is a given, and toiletries and things like that. But anything that is not essential, think about leaving it. And don't forget, you're not leaving the planet. If you need stuff, you can go and buy it. Tip number 6, guys, it's more of a way of being and way of thinking. It's not necessarily anything you need to do, but you definitely need to be open and flexible. Now, things change very quickly. I know the tour that I'm on, I was sent the material, but some of the material changed. So I had to be able to adapt and accept that that's what happens. And obviously it's not pleasant to have to adjust all the time, but it's part and parcel of the job. The artist will request things that that you need to do at the last minute. I mean, even I've known people who've missed flights, who've missed call times, and had to catch different flights, which meant it's thrown the bus out. And there's so many variables that can change on tour. If you have an idea about what it's like, keep it, but also know that that could change and be okay with that. If you're not okay with that, touring is definitely not for you. And that's not to say you can't do it, but it won't necessarily be pleasurable for you to tour if you can't get used to the fact that things will change at the drop of a hat and you need to just roll with it. So being flexible is a must. It's essential. I kind of had the heads up with that, and I'm really fortunate, and I say that in all humbleness. People really helped me out. They really showed me that things don't always go according to plan, so be flexible, be adjustable, and so I'm being that person for you. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Tune in next week where we will continue our tour diaries. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below and get at us on our social media. So until next week, guys, bye.